Welcome to our 2024 season of the Cloud Industry Forum presents TWF! We're speaking to you from our mixed reality newsroom style set, courtesy of our friends here at Disruptive Live. This is our new style video podcast show where each week we interview a guest from one of the Cloud Industry Forum members or someone with something to say about cloud technology or transformation or what's coming next. I'm David Terrar. I'm the CEO of the Cloud Industry Forum, which is a not-for-profit trade body that champions and helps accelerate the adoption of cloud technology and services. If you want to find out more about us, we're at cloudindustryforum.org. I'm at DT on X, David_Terrar on Threads and Instagram, easy to find on LinkedIn. Now today, we're talking to someone who works in the field of mergers and acquisitions in the technology sector. He talks about technology due diligence, and as well as exploring his background and how he's built up his particular set of expertise and his approach, we'll ask him what he thinks about the impact of AI, and we'll definitely learn something with his particular viewpoint on what makes a successful tech business. I am delighted to welcome Hutton Henry to the studio. Hutton, please introduce yourself and what you do.
Thanks, David. Before I do that, it's really great to be meeting in person in here. And I think it's great that you get people to have a dialogue so that we're not building tech in silos. It's really important.
Excellent.
So I'm Hutton. I run this management consultancy Beyond M&A. My high level pitch, if you like, is that we help CIOs and CTOs increase the value of their business. Excellent. And we do that through three practices. Tech DD, as you mentioned, so that's the investor side and M&A. There's coaching and advisory for post-deal and cloud integration as well. Okay. So it's a busy company.
Well, I've got more questions about that, but before we get into that, can you tell us a bit about your history? You know, how you've got to here and built up this expertise and some of your background.
Sure. Someone called me a veteran the other day, which was I'm not sure how to take that, but. So I won't go all the way back, but literally I was really lucky to work with Ford. I taught myself to code at the age of 8 and then started to work for Ford. It was an incredible opportunity, and they bought Jaguar. So that was my first M&A project, and it was a software project.
Very good.
And I failed on day one because of the people, and it's become a real theme in my business, really, and my career. So, and then from there, HP buying Compaq. And then the last 7 years, if we accelerate it, I've been working with private equity portfolio companies and learning everything that sort of is attractive for investment, but helping the portfolio company understand that as well.
Okay, so with Beyond M&A, tell us a bit more about how it works and what the kind of organisations you're working with and the kind of investors and corporates that you're working with.
Yeah, sure.
Name names if you can, but we'll understand if you can't.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if I can, but yeah. So literally, it's sort of we're working with VC, private equity, and corporate investors. And that's on the buy side, and they work with a myriad of portfolio companies. So in the technology sort of space, it can be anything from utilities and oil and gas to like the latest in AI and Web3 on their side. So it's very exciting because we're working with people with very big shopping bags who are quite emotional about buying these businesses, and we're helping both sides sort of understand each other and what the real opportunities are.
Okay. Now, some of that, I know that you kind of act as a kind of a coach and mentor to those CTOs and CIOs. Tell us a bit about what you do there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a passion project, to be honest, David. So really, looking at my own failings, like years ago, I came to realise that people are not up for the step change that happens post-investment. It can be a tiny investment or a massive corporate. What will happen is increased governance, increased speed, and increased expectations. And on a personal note, having run a business for the last 13, 14 years, I've come to understand a very big difference between corporate and running a small company. So I became a qualified Colby consultant. I've coached more than 500 people. I'm a bit crazy because I will coach people randomly off LinkedIn as well. But it's all learning, and it's always a two-way thing. And my philosophy is that we should really look at the people rather than the tech. We look at the tech and the P&L too much, and we should really look at the people who build it, because if we can help them and the team, it will just be much better for everyone.
I like that. That's good. Now, kind of relating to that, I've heard you talk about in the design team for whatever product or service, the importance of diversity in the design team.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer here, but tell me why that's important.
Yeah, it's like the utopian thing of having a diverse team, and I think it's like a really sort of obvious common sense thing that we should have people think differently. Yeah. I kind of, on a personal note, I do these psychometric assessments of tech teams, and I came to realise that it doesn't matter around the sort of standard levels of diversity, be it ethnicity, gender, age, whatever it is. We were actually hiring people, 90% of them are roughly the same. Yes. Didn't matter where they came from, what they do. Yeah. And I think it's an incredible time now. So there's two things there. First, we're probably not hiring for diversity of thought. Yeah. And secondly, if you do go for diversity hiring, you need to be able to learn how to run it. Yes. Because you've got different players. It's almost like having people with totally different political beliefs. Yes. And how do you bring that together, which obviously is all around good leadership.
Okay, interesting. Now, we'll explore a bit more of that in a while, but the topic of 2023 was AI. Yeah. And I certainly think that 2023 was a pivot point. I mean, 2007 was, 1969 was. We can talk about that history, but things changed last year. And what's your take on the explosion of Gen AI and the like in 2023? And what's your thought on how we deal with it in 2024 going forwards?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I kind of, like many years ago, I used to have a slide for the investors and the portfolio companies about, the term buzzword bingo, and we would have all of the different categories, and we would literally tick it off the screen just for a bit of fun. Yep. And I think really I sort of see AI as, from my seat, which is where the way I sort of say is that we get a front row seat of these dream makers, these people building amazing companies, they're getting investment. But I do see 4 sort of layers of AI. There's no AI, which is, depends what your category of AI is. There's not real AI, which comes up in our work. There's Gen AI, just plugging in GPT, etc. And then there's sort of real AI. And, even this week, we've looked at a number of AI companies, and you get an absolute buzz from some of them, but not some others, if I'm honest. Yeah. And I've come to realise that I can almost categorize it in 2 ways, which is there'll be people like me who will just use the AI off the shelf. Yes. And then you get the proper commercial PhD people, and they're fully researched up, and you get an absolute buzz, but you have to understand what they're talking about as well. Yeah. So I do think that's how I see it. But the 2 added things I would talk about is the change in teams, because that's my interest, is around people. Yes. And I would say that if you're setting up a startup, the whole hierarchy has completely changed. Yes. In the old days, you'd have, the CEO, CTO, team of engineering just to get going. We might only just need the CEO, CTO, hands-on one, and 1 or 2 engineers. Yeah. You don't need as many people. Yes. And there is a piece of work by the people at Fixie AI, and they're talking about the 12-cent engineer, where they did it last year, and they basically compared the equivalent of a Silicon Valley engineer, which used to get paid $1,000, is now worth 12 cents because of AI.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Okay. Now, before we started the show, you and I were talking a bit about storytelling. Yeah. And I know how important that is to you. So tell us why storytelling is so important in the context of what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I have 2 contexts there, so a personal one and a business one. I'll go for business first because that's why I'm here. But it's literally, if you look at how we present a business, whether it's a mid-cap corporate or even a startup, we need to put forward a story and the narrative, and that's working between a lot of people. And we only get usually a couple of weeks to understand an entire business and present back an investable narrative. Yes. And what we find is that, whilst the founders and the CTOs really know things inside and out, they don't present it in a very compelling way. Yeah. So, and that's my thing. It's like, oh my gosh, you're sitting on something so amazing, but the way you're presenting it is quite low energy and it's too technical. Yeah. So from a tech side, that's really important. From a personal side, in the middle of my career, I did a 9-year BA and MA in screenwriting because I really wanted to learn more about people. But my two sisters are therapists and we didn't need another one in the family. So it was a way of learning about engagement and emotion and connectivity, but in an entertaining way. And I found that really has helped us because now, when we present a deck to an investor, we know that's the story.
Excellent. I mean, thinking of it like a movie. Is very, very interesting. I love that. You've also touched on something that really gets me about our industry. Too focused on the technology and not enough on the real purpose and where the value is.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Now, obviously, AI is a thing. And there are lots of other, new technologies and emerging technologies that are going to be important going forwards. What are the ones that excite you in the different companies that you're working with?
Yeah, it's interesting because I get asked that a lot, and I think it's like this. I've learned over time not to get so excited about the tech, but it's what it gives to people.
Yeah.
And now I get really excited when the ICP, our ideal customer profile of the company we're looking at, is human beings, which I know is super wide, right? Yeah. And we're all taught in marketing to go for this very niche down person, John in marketing or whatever it is. Yeah, but I do get to see like companies where they have very broad sort of learning or health sort of backgrounds and they help a lot of people. And we can see it from the paperwork. That this is really disrupting in its own way. One we looked at in December, completely changing the nation's health through just reminding people to keep happy. Yeah. Seems like a really simple thing, but from my seat, that's exciting and more exciting in there. I'd say if you're interested in money, which is not my thing, I'm interested in people, then I would say compliance is a very interesting area as well, which again isn't the AI and all the buzzy stuff, but it's like making sure things are getting done properly. The EU AI Act, all those type of things that are coming in, they need people and software to keep us compliant and in check, really.
It's refreshing to have a different viewpoint on it, because so many people talk about the tech. You're actually talking about outcomes and different things, which is cool. Yeah. Out of all the stuff we've talked about over the last 15 or 20 minutes, what are the most important things you'd like our audience to take away from what you've been telling us, do you think?
Yeah, I think, as you probably noticed in that last answer, I think market it trumps tech, and I write about that. I think it's so important, even if you're in the engineering team, you need to understand the market. And when I coach a team, we'll look at the business's values and whether the team really gets what's happening. And I can guarantee most of the time we're all on a sort of a hamster wheel building code, but we're not really thinking about customer value. So that goes to my second one, which is, again, another sort of mission, if you like, is to help, from what I've seen now, help technology teams and leaders really understand value. And that can be as basic and boring as strategy and roadmaps equating to ROI. But what's more important is having these conversations where we're thinking, I'm not really excited about this new AI gadget. I'm excited what it can do for other people. I think that's really important. And then the last one will always be is, know yourself. So increasing awareness, I'm always going to pitch that because I've seen tremendous things in tech teams, really helping them accelerate if they're open to it. People who work with us on that side of things, they tend to be quite interested in psychology. They're interested in EQ and IQ. And that's my mission, to sort of bring that out to a wider audience, really.
That's a great way to end our conversation. I really thank you for coming along on the show, Hutton.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoyed what Hutton had to say and his particular kind of window on the tech sector, with the emphasis on value and storytelling and focusing on the people side rather than the technology. So it's for me, it's the way it should be. It's made me rethink some things as we've been talking. So it's great, and it's good to get Hutton's take on AI there as well. We will be back next Wednesday at 2:30 live here at our LinkedIn page, and you can find us on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as the Cloud Industry Forum website. We want your feedback. Tell us what you think of the show in the comments. Send an email to info@cloudindustryforum.org. If you want to be on the show, send me a mail and let's see if we can get you on. We look forward to hearing from you, and depending on how you're watching this, we hope to see you either next week or next time. Thanks very much.